It was around 2 a.m. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a US aircraft carrier was moving forward on its mission. Everything seemed normal. Radar systems were active, fighter jets were on standby, and the crew was busy with their duties. But suddenly, an unusual signal appeared on the radar screen. At first, it was considered a glitch, but within seconds, that signal turned into multiple objects. Silence filled the command room, because these were not ordinary objects. These were hypersonic missiles. Weapons that travel at speeds more than 5 times the speed of sound and are nearly impossible to intercept. Within minutes, the entire situation could change. One wrong decision and the world could be pushed into a war, the impact of which would last for generations. But the real question is the world really that close to such a situation? Is a war between the United States and China truly possible, one that could change the entire world? To understand this, we have to go back to the beginning of this rivalry. After World War II, the world was divided into two parts. On one side was the United States, and on the other was the Soviet Union. But after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the United States emerged as the world's only superpower. And this is where a new story begins. A story of a country that was quietly, slowly preparing to become the world's most powerful nation. That country was China. In the 1970s, China was a poor and developing nation. But in 1978, Deng Xiaoping introduced economic reforms. These reforms completely transformed China's economy. Factories began to grow, foreign investment increased, and China became the world's factory. Year after year, China's economy kept growing, and after 2010, China became the world's second largest economy. But this was not just an economic story. It was the beginning of a power shift.
Now the question was, would China remain only an economic power, or would it also become a military power? The answer slowly started to appear. China began to steadily increase its military budget. New technology, advanced weapons, a modern navy. Today, China has the world's largest navy, and it continues to expand its presence in the Pacific region. On the other hand, the United States, which had been the global leader for decades, was now facing a serious challenger for the first time.
The center of this rivalry is the South China Sea. This is not just a sea. It is one of the most important trade routes in the world. Every year, trillions of dollars in trade pass through this route. China claims almost the entire region, while countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Taiwan oppose it. The United States also sends its navy into this region under the name of freedom of navigation. And this is where the tension rises the most. On one side is China. On the other side is the United States. Warships from both sides, extremely close to each other. And just one wrong move can change everything.
But this conflict is not limited to the sea. There is another place from where this war could begin. That place is Taiwan. Taiwan is a small island, but its importance is enormous. China considers it a part of its territory, while Taiwan sees itself as an independent country, and the United States supports Taiwan. If China attacks Taiwan, then US involvement is almost certain. And that would be the moment when this tension could turn into a full-scale war.
Now the question is, if this war happens, who will win? The answer is not that simple. because both countries have different strengths. The United States has the most advanced military in the world. Stealth aircraft, aircraft carriers, global military bases. On the other hand, China is rapidly modernizing. Hypersonic missiles, anti-ship weapons, cyber warfare. If the war takes place in the Pacific region, China will have a geographical advantage. But on a global level, the United States is still more powerful. This will not just be a war of bullets and missiles. It will also be a war of technology. Artificial intelligence, cyber attacks, satellites. Both countries are extremely strong in cyber warfare. A successful cyber attack can shut down an entire country's electricity, banking system, everything.
China is the world's manufacturing hub, while the United States is a financial power. If a war happens, the global economy will be shaken. Supply chains will collapse, fuel prices will rise, and the entire world could face an economic crisis. But the biggest question still remains: will this war actually happen? Or will it remain just a tension?